Hey team, today we are going to be taking a look at Japanese imperialism during the interwar period, this critical time between World War I and World War II. We're going to see how Japan as a nation becomes what we call a world power, a major player on the world stage and a country with larger influence. So, our aim today looking at what were the causes and effects of Japanese imperialism. Why did they do it? And what were the outcomes of this? So, our learning target for this lesson will be that you will be able to identify those causes and effects of Japanese imperialism. So, to start off, we need to understand a little bit of background on the geography, the physical landscape of Japan. So, first off, is that the nation of Japan is made up of 14,125 islands. And if you are an island, you are kind of isolated, you're surrounded by water on all sides. It makes it difficult to connect this nation together and creates a lot of challenges for trying to grow as a country. Second thing to note is that Japan, these islands are incredibly rocky and mountainous, which makes it really difficult to create any sort of large scale farming or food production. And if you look at maybe what we know to be Japanese food or Japanese cuisine, uh, the reason why they sort of turn to the ocean and to the sea and to seafood in a lot of cases because getting food from the land is incredibly difficult if you're going to try to do it in Japan itself. And then finally, is that when it comes to the resources that are needed for an industrialized country, for oil, for coal, for metal, for wood, because of these mountains and because of the fact that Japan is these islands that are mostly made out of volcanic rock, is that Japan doesn't have a lot of these natural resources. So they're going to need to kind of look outside of Japan to fuel this rapid industrialization that will come later. So if we go back to what we learned about earlier, the Meiji Restoration is this time period where Japan begins to resemble the rest of the Western world. The Western world meaning Europe and eventually what would become the United States. And Japan begins this process of industrializing, of building factories, of building railroads, of mass production. And in order to do that, you need resources. You need oil, you need coal, you need metal, and all of these things to fuel factories and railroads and bigger cities. So, Japan, as we said a moment ago, is going to need to turn outside of their physical land that they're located on to get these resources. And the way that they're going to do that is by imperialism, or taking over other land for those resources. So here's a map that shows us where Japan engages in imperialism. And we can see here that we have the islands of Japan right here. But Japan begins to go outside of their borders, eventually taking over what we now know today as Korea, taking over regions within China, a place known as Manchukuo or Manchuria. We have regions along the coast of China here, including Hong Kong, the island of Taiwan, and a number of islands in the Pacific Ocean that are going to come back later when we talk about World War II. And so, as the need for resources grew in Japan and the need for more materials to fuel industrialization became more and more important, Japan is going to grow more aggressive in how they take over these new places and how they take these resources. And Japan is going to become known for committing numerous atrocities or horrific violent actions in China, Korea, and Japan. And the most famous of these, or infamous of these, we're going to look at in today's activity is known as the Nanking Massacre, sometimes written as the Nanjing Massacre with a J instead of a K. So today we're going to investigate the reasons for Japan's increased imperialism in the interwar period and the results of that imperialism on the victims of where they take over and commit these aggressive atrocities.